First off, I don't believe the federal government has a role in primary or secondary education reform, but since you brought up the Computer Science Act of 2013, I would like to say that if we are going to have the federal government step in, that is the wrong policy to go with. The 21st Century STEM Competitive Job Act would be a lot better choice because this would increase funding to all STEM areas, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, while amending primary and secondary education, and that would help strengthen our economy a lot better than just focusing solely on computer science. According to an article by the former governor of Michigan, John Engler, even during the recession, many STEM jobs were unfilled due to a lack of education by possible employees. Actually, according to a study from the Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte, that number would be about 600,000 unfilled jobs during the whole recession. Reports from Georgetown University Center on Education found 65% of people with bachelor's degrees in STEM earn more money than people with master's degree in non-STEM. By focusing on these 4 areas of education, we could increase our economy greatly. A lot of countries are pushing forward in their education and moving ahead of us, and it's because that they focus mainly on these 4 areas, and our education system has a lot of, we lack in this area. I can't count the number of people that say, I hate math. And it's mostly just because it's more of a difficult thing to get, and if a lot of people weren't brought up learning it, then it's definitely a harder thing to learn later in life, such as a language. So by focusing money on these STEM programs, that would boost and increase our economy. However, I do not think that is a job for the federal government. The federal government has enough of a role in education as it is. They have the No Child Left Behind Act. They set certain standards. We have the standardized education testing, the STAR tests that everyone took all through elementary and everything. Those are all through the government. Yeah, the results go to the states, but it's because they're being fueled by this federal government. The 10th Amendment states that powers not delegated to the government or denied to the states are reserved to the states respectively. Education is not mentioned within the Constitution, and therefore the role of figuring out what to do with education should fall solely on the states. The state could enact this policy that I am proposing, the 21st Century STEM Competitive Job Act, that could solely be funded through the states, because I don't believe the federal government needs a role. Actually, the case that Ebony brought up could be funded through the states as well, and I don't see why the federal government would need to get involved. However, let's say we were going to go with her bill, and we reformed computer science, we made parts of it part of the required material and integrated it into the curriculum. The only way to do that would be to cut out current part of the curriculums. And let's get real, we're not going to cut out English, we're not going to cut out math or history or any of those required parts. We're going to cut out times from the electives, because that's what's always first to go. Now, by cutting out electives, a lot of kids go to school and look forward to just their elective classes, art, photography, movies, whatever they're into. So by cutting these courses or making these courses less of part of the curriculum, like less time spent on them, this would decrease student interest in whatever is replacing it, which would be these computer science classes. That's not the right way to go. Now, the only other way that we could increase emphasis while keeping all the current curriculum is to extend the school day. That's a bad route to go too. By extending the school day, students would also lose interest. They already feel like they're in school a long time. They don't want to have to spend more time there. We would have to increase all of our spending because we'd have to hire more teachers for these classes. We'd have to pay teachers longer for a longer school day, faculty, staff members, everything. Everything would be increased. That's just not the right way to go. I don't think we need to make any more classes required than currently are. Also, there are a lot of things not offered in primary education, like welding or firefighting or police officer, like law classes. Like those kind of things aren't in primary and secondary education. That's why we have higher education. Things that you're interested in, things that caught your interest from extracurricular activities, electives, fun things that you like to do, or whatever is your hobby. That's why you take a higher education class in college to further learn about your interests. You don't need it to be forced or integrated into your primary education because that's something that's your hobby that you're going to do. Like computer science, I believe, is kind of like a hobby that you would go, if you loved that, then you would go and further your education in college with it. I believe that there could be more classes offered as electives, but definitely making it part of required material is not going to fly. So just a quick recap. I don't believe the federal government should get involved at all. Any of these policies where there is amendment in the primary and secondary education, whether it be Computer Science Act, STEM Act, should be funneled through the state. We have to stand by our Constitution, and our Constitution states that these are respectively reserved for the states. The federal government cannot stomp on the Constitution that way and say that they're going to take over or amend or reform education. It's just not part of their job. Also, doing this would increase school day and make students lack interest rather than actually increase interest.